A flurry of firsts as Monterey Bay in their maiden season travels to Leesburg, Virginia, with Loudoun United back at home on the final Saturday in July. Alongside Coach Eric Dobransky, I'm Daniel Gilman here at Segra Field for the first ever meeting between these two. And Eric, we've got a battle of defenses that have been stepping up here lately. Let's take a look at the Eastern Conference standings. Here at the bottom, Loudoun, those numbers have not been great late.
Yeah, and Daniel, after starting the season with 2 consecutive wins, Loudoun's only collected 3 points in 2 other matches, now sits 16 points outside of that final playoff spot. They're a team that's looking to develop consistency and close that gap.
On the other side, 7th place and last place in the Western Conference, separated by just 10 points.
Don't look now, but this recent run of form for Monterey Bay, although they sit last in the West, have put themselves 10 points from that final playoff spot with 14 games to play, including tonight. This is an ambitious team, and 3 points tonight will go a long way.
And the expansion team from the West Coast has been led by the upstart here. 3 straight starts at net for Anthony Siaha. No goals allowed, all 3 of them unbeaten.
He only had to make 1 save in their win over Red Bulls 2, but even after going down to 10 men in the first half, but that's evidence of tremendous organization and communication, getting everyone defending the right areas and defending collectively.
Added in mid-May, we have a little bit of a flip though for Loudoun United. Nicky Downs, who has played in almost every minute this season, and he's been offensive from the back line.
We talked about consistency from Loudoun United, and you can look no further than Nicky Downs to provide that consistency. He'll be a key player. It's going to be the contribution on both sides of the ball, disrupting play defensively and becoming playmaker from those deep positions.
Yeah, over 1,700 minutes played for Downs, but you mentioned the form lately. No losses in their last 4 for Monterey Bay, and the story is all in the goals conceded for Loudoun.
Yeah, 2 teams that are trending in different directions. Monterey Bay, 4 unbeaten, only conceded once in the month of July. Loudoun, on the other hand, have conceded 14 goals this month and have gone 0-3-1 in that span. And unfortunately, they've just seen results in a variety of different ways. They had that tough loss, that 2-1 loss against Miami FC late, and then Wednesday, the 6-1 loss at Birmingham.
Late goals have certainly plagued Ryan Martin's crew, but they're happy to have Luis Zamudio back at net. We will have your starting lineups along with First Touch.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
Beautiful day for some soccer here. An 82-degree Saturday afternoon turned evening here in Leesburg, Virginia, and you're looking at our referee crew led by Matt Thompson. Let's take a look at our starting lineups here today on this game at Segra Field as Monterey Bay looks to continue their run of form. First-year head coach Frank Yallop, but a very familiar name around these parts.
And that recent run of form has been predicated on solid defensive performances, and tonight will be no different. It's a back line that's anchored by Hugh Robertson, Kai Green, but on the attacking side, it is going to be a very opportunistic team led by Valeski and Revelar, and they'll provide the offensive spark.
Yeah, no James Murphy. He got a red card in the win over New York Red Bulls 2. On the other side, Loudoun happy to have Zane back, along with Zamudio and Vom Stieg, who have all been with the first team.
And it's an attack that has the potential of being dangerous, working in front of opponents' backline and along with stretching the field. But they'll have to get off to a better start tonight and control restarts. We highlighted Nicky Downs in the open, but Jeremy Garay will be another player that'll feature prominently if Loudoun looks to bounce back.
Garay, a 19-year-old, a lot of teenagers in that starting 11, a couple on the other 7 as well here on the pathway to Pro Day in Virginia as we are just moments away from the first touch. You see Loudoun in the home whites, and our player to watch in Nicky Downs. He has played and started in every match this season, all 21 for Coach Martin.
I'm very interested to see a lot of these opening sequences and really who dominates in certain aspects of the field in different phases, because you look at Monterey Bay, the travel all the way to Segra Field, and you're going to have a Loudoun team that's going to really want to press them into difficult situations.
Loudoun will go left to right to start here at home, as you saw Luis Zamudio was not in the lineup against Birmingham on Wednesday. A short turnaround, a 6-1 loss at the hands of the Legion. But a lot of optimism for Ryan Martin, mentioning the one good part about the short turnaround is an easy way to forget about the 6-1 loss.
Yeah, and it's a team that really does want to bounce back from that Wednesday matchup at Birmingham, the 6-1 loss. Obviously, the highlight of that night was Christian Fletcher with his first professional goal, the 16-year-old. Tremendous left-footed strike there to make that first goal of his career. But really, like I said, that quick turnaround, bouncing back, and really for Loudoun, it's about developing that consistency. You look at that Saturday, the previous matchup with Miami FC, 1-1 late and then conceded in stoppage time to lose that game 2-1.
Yeah, Eric, an international heavy lineup as well. You talk about the youngsters, 4 of the 7 off of the bench for Loudoun United, under 18 years old. There's Coach Ryan Martin, who has certainly focused on the academy, moving towards Loudoun, moving towards DC United, focusing on what Wayne Rooney likes to see. And on the other side, what Monterey Bay has done well is hold the midfield and dictate tempo. How can they do that here tonight?
Yeah, they've just been tremendous collectively. I mean, you just look at the month of July, they've only conceded once, they've scored 5 times, they've recorded 3 straight clean sheets. I mean, it starts from top to bottom, the forwards pressing at the right moments, really staying compact, and then really the ability to screen passes into those attacking areas, and then they've been so dangerous in transition as well.
It's been some steady possession here early from Loudoun as a seeking pass finds a man but dispossessed quickly. You're going to hear a lot of Abdul Zane, who has been back and forth between the first team and here with the USL Championship squad. He's one of 4 Ivory Coast natives on this Loudoun team, 2 of them starting with Zane and Diarra. Haven't quite been able to introduce a lot of these Monterey Bay upstart 20-some-year-olds, as we've got our keys to the game now, brought to you by Country Buick GMC of Leesburg. What are you looking at here for the home team in Loudoun?
For Loudoun, it's controlling restarts. It's so important. Monterey Bay, extremely dangerous on set pieces, on corners, free kicks. So for a younger side to really stay engaged and switched on in those restarts, and then for Monterey Bay, it's playing out of pressure. We talked to Ryan Martin. He really wants to put them under pressure. They've traveled across the country. Make them work.
There's a good tackle in the corner from Jacob Green on the veteran Simon Dawkins. And a lot of similarities in the lineup for Frank Yallop's team, and why not? Why change anything when you haven't lost in over a month? But no Murphy, injured Chase Boone, Walmer Martinez is out as well. So when you throw a couple screws into a well-oiled machine, what are some difficulties you might run into?
I mean, the travel obviously being one of them in terms of it is a short turnaround for Loudoun, but the travel for Monterey Bay, and I'm going to keep highlighting the optimism from Monterey Bay, because you're playing a team in Loudoun that have conceded 44 goals total. And when you're a team that is on a 4-game unbeaten run and really in good form, your eyes are gonna light up and become a little bigger in terms of the opportunities that you can create, whether it's on set pieces, in the run of play, in transition. So I just think you get a little bit more energy in those moments from Monterey Bay, even though they've traveled. And then for Loudoun, it's got to be the start. Going into halftime 3-0 at Birmingham was not ideal, to say the least.
Gray will feed it back to Downs. 5 minutes in. Very cautious start for Monterey Bay here on the road. The furthest they have traveled in their young USL Championship career here in the expansion team's first season. A little over 2,800 miles from the gorgeous mountainous coast of California to the gorgeous mountainous side of the Appalachians here in Virginia, as Zane, moving from left to right, will now feed to the corner. Gray, teenager. Oh, a perfect header and the first chance for Siaha, who has made now 5 saves in his 4 matches.
Well, and I was going to say, to your point, Daniel, was a terrific point earlier, was you have Monterey Bay, and this could work for both teams. You have a team in Loudoun that wants to get off to a better start, and you have a team in Monterey Bay that might look to absorb a bit of this early on, work through when they're put under pressure from Loudoun.
Yeah, going back to that loss on Wednesday for Loudoun, Coach Ryan Martin mentioned that they didn't quite have that rhythm on restarts, especially in the first 20 minutes where they fell down 2-0. As good-looking attack gets switched around and a chance for a Loudoun counter. Once again, Abdul Zane, we're going to say his name a lot. He is certainly someone you want touching the ball on a one-on-one here against Grant Robinson. There's a chance to find Downs here in the 7th. Instead, a reset back to Garay, making his 8th start of the season. Jeremy Garay in his 51st appearance in the USL Championship for the 17-year-olds.
And I think what was fascinating when talking to both coaches, both teams are navigating games where they've received a red card in the previous matchups.
Yep.
And both coaches kind of spoke to playing a bit better and composed with 10 players, 10 men, instead of playing with the 11. Obviously not recommended to get those early red cards, but obviously the early red card for Loudoun to start the second half again at Birmingham, and then the first half red card for Monterey Bay on James Murphy. And Monterey Bay went ahead and found the second goal to win that matchup 2-0 against Red Bulls 2.
Yeah, up 1-0 for most of that game. It was an 89th minute goal from San Guido. But yes, Coach Gallup certainly emphasized the fact that they might have let less chances with 10 men than they did with 11, and Husso picked up the red card on the road for Loudoun on Wednesday, and Loudoun United looking for their first points since July 3rd in a draw against Tulsa. They have not had a victory since June 25th, or excuse me, June 18th even. 42 days as Loudoun seeks a home win, as 50-50 ball will go by way of Loudoun here, and Ryan Martin gets his way. And speaking more about Martin, the director of the DC United Academy back in 2017, spent some time in Germany and Iceland as a player, as well as Real Salt Lake. Played under his legendary father, Jay, at Ohio Wesleyan, when Ryan was an All-American. So looking for the first chance on the road for Monterey Bay. We will see the 2 fullbacks here for the visiting Bay press up a lot, as you see Grant Robinson already up in the attacking third. Maury Donor doesn't get a lot of credit, but as well as Nicky Downs, he has started and played in every game this season for Monterey Bay.
And you could see Monterey Bay starting to get into a bit better of a rhythm here.
Yeah, cross back post. Dawkins had a look. Good heads up move there in the back line as Zamudio has it with ease. The 6'3", 24-year-old from Las Vegas. played first down in Fort Lauderdale for the USL 1 squad and then moved to Miami FC between I-95, not too far away, just down that highway. Seen a lot of one-on-ones here early, and both offensive sides have elected to play behind. Trying to move from the back is Loudoun United with just 21 goals this season, second fewest in the USL Championship. Scored 1 in each of their last 3, all lopsided defeats. It shows miscommunication, a little bit reminiscent of what this season has been thus far for Loudoun. Good position there by Maury Donor. Foul committed, a little awkward look from Adrian Rebelar, and Skage Simonson goes down. Talk about internationals, the Cote d'Ivoire players. Simonson from a gorgeous sliver in Norway, a city called Bergen. Wrong place, right time.
And this will sit well to be a dangerous free kick for Loudoun. Again, had a terrific conversation with head coach Ryan Martin the other day, and obviously discussing that balance between being results-driven and development-driven in terms of that affiliation with DC United and really developing those players individually, helping them grow the game, and just building that consistency and really highlighting teachable moments.
Looks like it'll be Zane here. Very interesting decision there, a bit of a chip, maybe hoping that a flanked attacker could help out.
Looks like the timing was just a bit off there in terms of the service and the run in.
Good decision by Luis Zamudio to play off his line. He's making his 15th start of the season, 65% save mark with 4 clean sheets. Right now you can tell that Monterey Bay is focusing on that defense. They have not allowed a goal in now 4 weeks. A 1-1 draw against New Mexico at home. But a haphazard move, a takeaway to Zane. Another collision near midfield. That foul, Sargis whistled for it. Hayden Sargis making his 10th start of the season, gets a few words back from Matt Thompson.
And although that sequence didn't conclude with a shot on target, that's exactly what Ryan Martin was telling us the other day, and exactly what he wants to see from his team is the moments that you catch Monterey Bay and their players, as you saw with Fair, facing their own goal. Can you press? Can you turn them over and win the ball higher up the field? Because that just adds so much and a different dynamic to teams when you can start with possession 30, 40, 50 yards from goal, and you saw it there on the turnover.
Speaking of, Kai Green bailed out on what was a very risky pass picked off by Simonson, but 50-50 call on the throw-in goes by way of Monterey. Garay, though, a takeaway, 2-on-3. Jeremy Garay is going to test the goalkeeper, and Siaha is up to the challenge here in the 13th.
Fantastic pressure from Loudoun, and that's all about recognition. It's recognizing when, the right moment to press, the areas to press.
A little bit of a attack brewing, and it turns into a corner kick as Jason Johnson, who is usually a sub off the bench for some fresh legs, gets the start today without Murphy. There again we see Ryan Martin, who is ever the character on the sidelines. A little bit more composed is Frank Yallop. There's a reason why Martin grabs the attention of the camera more than Yallop does. As first-year head coach for Monterey Bay, has of course bounced around the USL with Phoenix, Fresno, and Vegas, and those incredible years with San Jose with a couple MLS Cup championship wins. The first corner kick today leads to more dull attack. Ball that turns into an offsides in the corner. Seems early that Monterey Bay is certainly happy with this style of play, and at least what we're seeing through the first 14 minutes is Loudoun asking a few questions, Siaha stepping up, but more so the midfield game staying pretty neutral.
Well, and we talked about the different makeup of each team in terms of Loudoun being the younger squad, the team that just, it lacks a little bit of consistency and really putting a full 90 minutes together. And then you have a bit more of a veteran side in Monterey Bay, and they'll be able to navigate some of these moments and these sequences within the 15 minutes, really find their footing within the matchup. And so it'll be interesting to see how Loudoun develops throughout this matchup, what areas become open, exposed in terms of the transition, set pieces, obviously defending that corner kick really well.
Talk about Loudoun, 2 shots on target already. They had just 2 shots on goal in the entire loss to Birmingham on Wednesday. That certainly has to be something that Coach Martin had drilled into the pregame speech as Dawkins gets a word. We haven't seen any shots total by Monterey Bay, as that throw-in tails out of bounds almost immediately.
And it was one of those games at Birmingham that Birmingham just had chance after chance early, didn't convert until the 22nd minute, but you thought that Loudoun might have weathered that storm from Birmingham, but unfortunately saw a goal in the 22nd, and then the 31st, and then the 43rd right before halftime. And then that second half, that early red card really just changed the complexion completely. 3 penalty kicks.
A little bit of a shove. It'll be Loudoun's ball, as well as a few words from the striker Azad Liati, Michigan native, hoping to make his imprint here this season, making his 11th start, still looking for his first goal though. But you talk about the rhythm and flow, and you have to be happy if you're a Loudoun United fan. They've been able to have a few takeaways in the attacking third. Haven't been troubled defensively yet. If you were there for our pregame show, you saw the lopsided stats of the last month for both teams, and for Loudoun, 12 goals allowed in their last 3 matches, and here's a turnover coming the other way. Moby Fair to Dawkins. Good step in and a tackle on the back line by Jalen Robinson. It's an interesting one lineup-wise for Monterey Bay, the kind of formation 4-4-3 where you see the 3 midfielders are all pretty defensive with Gorski, Fair, and Revelar. And instead it's the 2 fullbacks with Robinson and Donor that play more of that attacking outside middle and midfield position.
And that just highlights what Frank Yallop and this side want to do in possession. It's that combination and balance of quickly exposing space and breaking lines of pressure, but also being patient enough to allow Robinson and Donor to join the attack and create overloads out wide, and how much they value wide services as well.
Downs to the middle, Jacob Green. Fed towards Siaha. And it's been quite a journey for Anthony Siaha. Didn't have any appearances last season for San Diego Loyal. Played in the NISA for 1904 FC in 2020. Had some time for the San Diego Sockers in the MASL. Bounced around 3 different universities for Siaha. But if he can continue the run he is doing right now, he will certainly have what other sports might call a contract year towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and it's a player that, and a goalkeeper that just continues to control his area, his box, whether it's on set pieces or services just like that.
6'6", 205 from Tucson, Arizona. 24-year-old who made just 1 save in the clean sheet win last Saturday at home against New York. There's the second set piece for Monterey Bay. Can they do something off the deflection? Nearly picked up by Johnson, and then Booted high and wide there. So we're seeing looks again. Kai Green, a center back, not necessarily the guy you want taking the shot from 40 yards out.
But is always up in those attacking phases on set pieces and free kicks. And again, Ryan Martin continued to emphasize his team's ability to be effective defensively in those moments. And as we've talked about thus far in the 20th minute, Loudoun looks like they are in good rhythm.
Yep.
They are in good tempo. But my challenge would be, and I talk to teams about this all the time, is influencing the 45 as if it was 3 15-minute segments. And right now, Loudoun has done a terrific job of influencing that first 15, now moving on to that second 15, and really owning and valuing those moments.
Gorski called for the foul a moment ago against Zane. Touching more on Kai Green, who took that last shot for Monterey Bay. I'd love to pick his brain on his back-to-back seasons with USL Championship expansion teams. Last year, spending the season with Oakland, where he made 24 starts, scored 1 goal, and of course now with Monterey Bay. You have to imagine there is something unique about spending a year with a team that is brand new in the league, and front office and everyone involved experiencing things for the first time. Of course, they do have the veteran head coach in Frank Yalla.
Well, and it's very interesting you bring that up, because last year with Oakland Roots, and it was a very similar storyline throughout the season where Oakland got off to a little bit of a rocky start, a slow start to the season, and really put together a fabulous end of the season and found themselves in the playoffs. So for Monterey Bay, it's almost the same scenario.
Of course, if they can get a result today, there's an injury down in the box as both Liati and who is that, Donor down as well? First, the Monterey Bay defender went down. Looked like the referee was gonna hold for a minute, and then Liati grabbed his head on a 50-50 ball down in the box. This is where you have to factor in the new concussion protocols here in the last 2 years. Make sure both of those players are seeing nothing but stripes instead of stars.
Absolutely. All about player safety. Making sure and absolutely sure that both players are able to continue as you evaluate them and assess them.
Is Maury Donor, who is an extremely valuable piece in this Monterey Bay back line, and on a replay, maybe just the heads colliding, right?
And this service sent in, and it's like Liati catches the back of Donor.
Liati's got about 4 inches on Donor, but both seem to be all right. Not too hot here in Virginia today, 82 degrees, so no water breaks scheduled. But a chance for both teams to get a bit of a breather here about 22 minutes in. Fun day to be in the crowd as Loudoun United FC celebrating 10 players that have made the jump from the USL Championship team or from the academy up to the first team in DC United. We saw Simonson and Zane playing against Bayern 10 days ago for the team up in DC. Both teams without their leading scorers today, which is another wrinkle thrown in with Chase Boone and his injured calf for Monterey Bay. Abdel Abukora is in Saudi Arabia with the Egypt U20 team. He's been a revelation here in the last month and a half for Ryan Martin with his 4 goals. When we talk about restarts, Eric, and that was something that you highlighted in the open, one of your keys to the game, and something that both coaches touched on. Where exactly can you take advantage when you're talking about struggling on restarts?
Well, I think matchups are key in terms of whether it's the spacing, whether it's the areas you can cover. But I think a lot of it is just the pace in which you restart and really the different looks. Sometimes you take a shorter free kick, shorter set piece, and then you're really able to evaluate and have access to different space in those moments as well. And I think for Loudoun, and Ryan Martin had mentioned, was taking into account where Hugh Roberts is, where Kai Green is. Those are two players that really take a lot of pride in those set pieces and being very dangerous.
Well, we can introduce you to the striker for Monterey Bay. We haven't said his name because he hasn't quite done anything yet, but Christian Valeski gets a little physical. The 29-year-old from Henderson, Nevada, making his 13th start of the season. Without Chase Boone, Coach Yallop has had to get creative up front. Boone, of course, responsible for 6 of the team's 25 goals and has now been out a few weeks with that calf injury. Walmer Martinez, also a big name in the midfield, who hurt his hamstring last week. As Garay tries to tiptoe through the middle. Simonson. A strike, and it just goes high. A look there from the far corners of that box. There's Zoumana Diarra, 19-year-old from Ivory Coast. Grew up playing in the same youth organization as Zane.
And Diarra just changed the thought that I was about to talk about, was that although Loudoun does seem to be controlling a bit of the tempo and playing through the phases really well and playing through the thirds, they have not really produced a clear-cut scoring opportunity. Now, obviously, that strike from Diarra just right over the crossbar, but
here's
really
Diarra
well
again.
taken.
We have seen surges from both of the Ivory Coast wingers in Zane and Diarra, as 7 and 12 are certainly numbers to keep an eye on in white. We're expecting to see another Cote d'Ivoirian in Gosu Samake, who is expected to play 45 minutes, as he has been up and down with the first team and this USL Championship side. The 50-50 ball won by Hugh Roberts, and that center back for Monterey Bay has been the bright spot, says Frank Yallop on the defense, as Simonson gets whistled in the midfield. 3rd round pick in the 22 Super Draft to DC. Here's Roberts again. 29-year-old from Maryland. It has just seemed like the midfield possession has been dominated by White, but here, Monterey able to squeak their way through. Moby Fair, Donor to the right side, the feed in, it pokes through and saved, but offside is the call anyways. Nonetheless, what a play by Zamudia. We may need to get another look to see exactly who got the final touch there. And instead of a restart, they're just gonna let it flow. As the Dawkins ball came in, and it looked like Jason Johnson on the right side tried to find Valeski, who was off.
But that also showcases how quickly Monterey Bay can break into that attacking third.
As you say it, Dawkins with the turnover before Diarra's yellow card. Let's take another look at that feed in from Johnson. Oh my goodness, what a save. Didn't matter, but wow. Acrobatic.
That is just exceptional. I mean, again, it's offside, so it won't go into the stat sheet, but what a terrific save. The awareness, the composure.
So Diarra gets the yellow card in the 29th. 45th yellow card of the season for Loudoun. And a diving header again punched away by Zamudio. This one will count. As Zamudio picks up his first save of the evening, they've both been reactionary.
And we talk about Loudoun being in a good rhythm. Now Zamudio has to be feeling really positive about the last two sequences. We talked about the previous one being offsides, but that was a terrific save as well.
So the second corner kick of the evening for Monterey Bay. Flown in with the left. Should be another corner kick on the flip side as Dawkins will run it down. Now the mindset changes from one winger, and Jason Johnson, who's a lefty, to Simon Dawkins, the righty. As the two Monterey Bay coaches wait with anticipation, but a good play off the front line. Now a poor pass here in the 31st minute. Let's go back and take a look at that set piece by Monterey Bay, though. Eric, on the diving header on the far post. Walk me through this.
And this is, again, Loudoun needing to stay switched on these set pieces, because this is just too open on a scripted play, because although it's scripted on the offensive side, those defensive set pieces are scripted as well in terms of what areas need to be covered and what roles and responsibilities are. And for that space out wide to become that available, but obviously met by an even better save by Zamudio.
Here we have another midfield turnover. Dawkins, advantage played for Monterey Bay. Johnson, another save from Zamudio. His third in the last 5 minutes. But as you mentioned, momentum has certainly swiveled over to the visitors' side as Monterey Bay has taken opportunity after opportunity here in the second 15 minutes of this contest. Simonson has numbers. Oh, what a takeaway, though. I believe it's Donor who got the foot out. How about this? They're letting each other play now.
Just back and forth action.
In fact, it was Robinson with the takeaway, and he has possession. See if Loudoun can slow things down, or they'll elect not to. Foul will be called on Roberts. So another save for Zamudio, another replay here for you in the first half as Johnson seemed to have the angle.
And for Loudoun, it's just a bit of self-inflicted turnovers here and creating opportunities for Monterey Bay, because in the first 20-25 minutes, it was all Loudoun winning the ball higher up the field. Now you get just a bit too casual when you start controlling tempo, because you're starting to recreate some ideas. You're really trying to force plays into certain areas that are a little tighter, and now you're turning the ball over, and Zamudio has been there to bail them out a number of times thus far. And obviously that's what you need a goalkeeper to do, is make those game-changing saves that keep you at 0-0. But this is where Ryan Martin really wants to see that growth and development from his young squad. Is you've controlled the tempo, you've seen a lot of good moments, but you need to finish off this half either at 0-0 or go ahead and find yourself a goal here.
And the Loudoun Stampede have had reason to celebrate here in the last 10, but those are defensive saves. Now they're looking for an offensive reason to get loud. Loudoun has had 62% of the possession in this contest as Siaha's punch leaked to Garay. Oh, what a backline stop on defense by the center back. That one had eyes for the back of the net. Garay headed towards Siaha. It stays scoreless as both goalkeepers aided by their back line.
And ever since that Diarra chance from Loudoun, this game has really opened up, and now both teams, although missing the final detail and finding the back of the net, they have really created opportunities and chances.
And this possession started with a great touch by Valeski on that through ball. For the first time in what seems like all day, Monterey Bay is going to play from the back. They have tried to utilize the counterattack from their front line. Kai Green to the far corner. They'll feed it right back to Hugh Roberts. How about this stat? from our stats perform, 41% of the possession in the last 15 minutes has been in the Loudoun zone, which has shown these attacking chances for the visitors. Crispin Kelp, Valeski's header didn't have a lot of strength, and it finds over the post. Crossbar. As we take a look at Loudoun's last chance, this was their first really good chance of the evening as Garay tried the half volley.
And we talked about set pieces, we talked about free kicks, and really a lot of the danger comes from those second chance opportunities when a ball gets parried out or punched out by the goalkeeper, deflected. And what a confidently taken strike there. Again, both teams exchanging scoring opportunities.
Garay from Woodbridge, Virginia, homegrown talent in every sense of the word, signed as a homegrown player in July 2021. Has been playing with Loudoun since 2019. He was looking for his first goal in professional soccer there, but Hunter Gorski had other ideas. Final line of defense in blue. 10 minutes remaining in this first half, which has proved to be pretty exciting after about 20 minutes of feeling each other out in the first ever meeting between Monterey Bay and Loudoun United FC. Dawkins stalking Green. With Coach Martin telling us that Gosu would be available for 45 minutes up in the front line for Loudoun. You have to wonder if it would be Zane, who has been an Energizer bunny in the first half. That will take a seat at halftime. We haven't talked too much about Liati, who suffered that head injury about 15 minutes ago. He's been stagnant up in that 9 spot. This is Green. To Zane. Thought about it. So far through 37 minutes, Eric, whose midfield would you give the edge to?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, right now you have to go with Loudoun United, just because not only are they really finding balance in the patience aspect, but when they decide to break and transition, you sometimes see in midfields, they'll pull it back, they'll let defending teams, opponents get back into position defensively. It's the commitment from the midfield from Loudoun right now.
Diarra tiptoeing through defenders. Simonson loaded up, finds Downs. 2 goals on the season for Simonson. Only 6 goals combined between the 10 men in white.
But you mentioned some of the attacking players for Loudoun, and we talked about the midfields just a moment ago. We have not seen Revelar on the ball in the final third for Monterey Bay. Obviously, typically playing higher up the field. Obviously, the red card to James Murphy changes things a bit. But Simon Dawkins, who had the first goal in their 2-0 win against Red Bulls 2, he and Revelar have not been in the conversation in the final third. Obviously, Valeski, the same thing. We've seen a lot of Jason Johnson, which is a positive, but
yeah, Johnson with that left-footed shot on target, punched away. We saw Kai Green with the diving header. That was saved as well. This one easily for Siaha. And then there was that offside attack that Valeski also had saved. And whoa, look at Zamudio way out of his box.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Zamudio was doing in that area of the field, especially on a punt from Ziaha. I don't know if he was trying to communicate information to his back line and just got caught in that scenario, but
only he will know. 4 clean sheets on the season for Zamudio in 14 starts. 3 clean sheets in 3 starts for Siaha, who has given no reason to pick another goalkeeper, as Monterey Bay said goodbye to Dallas J last week. Their backup is now Carlos Herrera, a 24-year-old out of California. Here's a beautiful ball. Liotti. Roberts is there to muddle it, but a slip by Robinson. A little bit of amends there, and then, ooh, a very rough tackle. Robinson's knee gets trampled. And a quick yellow card issued there to Abdul Zana. Well, as a torn ACL recipient myself, anytime I see a knee go down like that, it's never fun.
And coming from behind, where you're not really able to brace for that impact in terms of accepting the tackle. It's a very dangerous challenge there.
I don't know, that's as borderline of a yellow to being more than a yellow, as you can see in the midfield, aside from slide tackles from behind, honestly. And now Zane and Diarra with yellow cards. You have to wonder how long their nights will last with the risk. The 2 aggressive Ivory Coast wingers. Tackle up in the attacking zone, and Revelar, as you mentioned, maybe needs to get a little bit more offensive here, filling in that center attacking mid position for Murphy. The clearance, the throw-in comes to the visiting Monterey Bay. So Hunter Gorski move all the way from his sitting position, making his 3rd start of the season. Just 3rd appearance as well for the newcomer, added in July. We'll say goodbye to July for each team's next match, as Monterey Bay comes home on Saturday to host El Paso, a team in a playoff spot, while Loudoun United will stay in Virginia to take on LA Galaxy Dos on Saturday as well. We talked about it, though, in the pregame, Eric. If Monterey Bay comes away with 3 points today, they've got back-to-back matches against teams in playoff spots with El Paso and San Diego. 10 points in 14 matches is not impossible to make up.
No, and it's a space where you're kind of in that area where you do control gathering points, making a good run, whereas in Loudoun really needs both. They need 3 points and they need help. And I'm not saying Monterey Bay does not need help throughout the next 14 games, but
Johnson on the near post on an advantage played, and there was a deflection, says Matt Thompson. So a corner kick comes for Monterey Bay. If take a look at a replay here, go ahead.
Yeah, and if they can go on and pick up 3 points at a time and really collect massive points like they have here in July and then going into August, I mean, they could put themselves right in that playoff picture. As we see how good Jason Johnson has been on that right flank.
Literally, I was just about to talk to you about him, because Johnson, who usually comes in late in games, he picked up an assist in that Gleadle goal last week. But filling in for Murphy, this left-hander on the right wing has certainly provided a spark offensively. As a quick corner, headed by Roberts right into the waiting grasp of Zamudio. We are seeing unmarked Monterey Bay attacker after unmarked Monterey Bay attacker.
And we talked about keeping into account Hugh Roberts, and he just finds a way to get on the end of these services. And credit Monterey Bay, because they've really mixed up what they've done on set pieces, corners, free kicks. really asked a lot of different questions of Loudoun United in those moments as well. And you do not want to give up a late goal here in the first half if you're Loudoun.
Not to bring it up too much, but late goals have certainly been a thorn in the side of Loudoun United FC this season. More so in the second half, though. And we'll touch on that as this game goes on. But final 30 seconds or so before stoppage time here in the first half as Siaha flirts with a little bit of trouble, but looked like the deep kick was deflected. We'll see if Monterey Bay has a push here late in the first. First 20 minutes was all Loudoun. Then 20 minutes of Monterey Bay pressure, but fantastic saves by Luis Zamudio kept this game scoreless. We're getting word there will be 2 minutes of stoppage time here in the first half as Simonson tried to over-dribble there in the midfield. There's your note up in the top. And our fourth official giving it in is Sharon Gingrich. Carries the 2. Got to make sure to always carry the 2. Robinson.
I think both coaches are going to be pleased with their team's performance here in the first half. I think you have to like the intent from both sides.
Maybe Dawkins could have shown a little bit more aggressiveness there on the loose ball. And a good job by Liotti to just jump into the contact, ensure the whistle, and wow, get a yellow from Gorski there as well. First yellow card for Monterey Bay.
Clever from Liotti and really forcing Gorski into that tackle. Really feeling that Loudoun was in transition, positive numbers in the attack, and what a play through Hugh Roberts. Through the legs and then forcing Gorski into that yellow card.
Stanford graduate in Gorski, played last season with Edmonton in the CPL. His third match of the year and already his second yellow card as Gorski did go in strong there. Just about 30 seconds to go here in this first half. Possession sitting about 60% for the home half. With 3 shots on target for Loudoun. We'll have all of the halftime highlights and stats for you coming up soon. But will there be one more look? Green gets tackled in the box by Robinson. Referee waves it on. Liotti at the death of the first half, and it just trickles out of bounds. There's some excitement for you, Eric. Our first half concludes with a 0-0 scoreless 45. Some of the big takeaways for you here through 45.
Good energy from both teams. Good balance, the commitment. You have Loudoun United in that pressing, and then you have Monterey Bay, the ability to absorb a little bit of that pressure and allowing Loudoun to keep possession, but then the commitment to the counterattack, forcing them into tight spaces. We've seen really good chances from both teams. I'm interested to see how much more this game opens up in the second half because both teams are committing numbers to that final third, and what that allows is more space to operate in behind those lines. So I wonder if both teams are going to really focus on that transition moment a bit more heading into that second 45.
Well, a fantastic half for that man, Luis Zamudio, who made 4 great saves as we stay tied at 0. We'll be back with our halftime show next.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
A dozen shots total between these two sides in a high-powered first half of action alongside Eric Dobransky. I'm Daniel Gilman. So happy to be with you on this final Saturday in July. And Eric, as we take a look at the 22 on the pitch, the backup goalkeeper today for Loudoun United is our player spotlight, Dane Jacoman. Dane Jacoman, a goalkeeper for Loudoun United FC, is a UPenn graduate. His highlight reel is filled with fantastic saves at the Ivy League level. He had some USL League 2 action while a college student, too.
And obviously, a goalkeeper, his favorite athlete being Tim Howard, and still really recalling that last performance against Belgium in the World Cup for Tim Howard. And then, who isn't a fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah, fantastic line in his college numbers, and Jacoman skipped his senior season to join the pro ranks a year early, as you see that 21-year age. As our player spotlight is Dane Jacoman. I bet he had some fantastic moments watching our USL match of the week as Sacramento pulled off the impossible on Wednesday. We have full highlights from the Wednesday US Open Cup semifinals as Tyler Terrence and Devin Kerr have the highlights for you. Boys, take it away.
It's Keko. It's a great chance and parried away by Poolskamp. Weaving his way through, putting it on frame, and Villieto had to parry it over the bar. The Jamaican Malik Foster. The Panenka, absolutely disgusting. Hoisted this trophy plenty of times. Saved by Viniello. Rodrigo Lopez. It's improbable. It's indomitable. It's another cup set.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
I'm on that real team. I'm on that real team.
Back into our halftime show, live from Leesburg, Virginia. The fans have certainly been treated to a high-octane first half, despite no one finding the back of the net. We had some fantastic moments earlier in the week from USL Championship side Sacramento Republic. Let's take a look at some of the news and notes around the league here in this week. The cup set, as our fantastic Terrence mentioned.
What a game from Sacramento Republic, and really chasing that US Open Cup final, going to Orlando City, and then San Antonio and Tampa Bay Rowdies. I mean, San Antonio 8 games unbeaten. Tampa Bay Rowdies rank in the top 5 of goals scored and amongst the top 5 in fewest goals allowed. So no question of why San Antonio sits at the top of the West and Tampa Bay sits right behind Lou City in the East.
Take a look at that national television match on September 18th. Of course, the big championship in the U.S. Open Cup on September 7th. But taking a look at Tampa, they have continued their winning ways. Just about 25 more minutes left in that one. A couple high-powered offenses in Charleston and Sacramento as well. The Republic are feeling good right now.
And as it relates to this matchup as well, you're going to want to keep a close eye on Las Vegas Lights and Atlanta United 2 at 0-0. Las Vegas Lights occupying that 7th seed in the West. And we talked about Monterey Bay sitting 10 points behind. So they're going to be very interested in that scoreline, along with the Sacramento Republic scoreline as well. But we talked about it, Tampa Bay 2-1 on Indy 11, and Hartford Athletic and Birmingham. Obviously, Birmingham 6 goals on Wednesday against this Loudoun United side, 0-0 heading into the 70th.
Well, Sacramento and Las Vegas both right at that 6-7 spot. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule around ESPN Plus here this weekend. One more on Sunday between New York and New Mexico United. And then a Wednesday doubleheader for you folks. Right now, Memphis is certainly looking like they are a tough-to-beat side. And obviously on the other side, it has been very tough for the New York team, Red Bulls too.
Yeah, and for New Mexico United, they're going to want to make sure that they pick up 3 points against the New York Red Bulls 2 side that sit 14th in the East. With only 2 wins, and for New Mexico sitting in 4th in the West, 35 points. And again, we talk about where San Antonio sits, so really chasing San Antonio FC there in the West.
Well, Loudoun United unable to score in the 14th time this year out of 21, where they have been scoreless at halftime. We'll see if 45 minutes can decide a winner here on this Saturday night in the USL Championship. We've got the second half for you when we come back next.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
Well, for a scoreless tie here at half, there were plenty of explosive plays. As we welcome you back, alongside Eric Dobransky, I'm Daniel Gilman. So happy to be with you today as we take a look at our first half highlights. And Eric, early, Loudoun United FC put a few strikes on net that got Anthony Siaha warm.
And Ryan Martin asked for a better start from his side, and he got it, really testing Siaha early on. in this match, really controlling the tempo, and you could see created a number of turnovers in that build-up play for Monterey Bay, but just unable to convert here. Tremendous pressure, good support, attacking with numbers, just unable to add that final detail. A lot of commitment to that pressing. And then here in the 26th minute, this is where this game really opened up for both teams. Diarra with the right-footed strike that just ends up right over the crossbar, but this just added to the chances. Monterey Bay really started to build into the game through their set piece play, which they continue to be so dangerous. Jason Johnson on the end of that one, and then they started to win the ball higher up the field, a little bit more patient there. Jason Johnson again with the right-footed strike. Zamudio made a couple key saves in that first half, in a couple key moments as well for Loudoun, because they had really controlled the tempo. And here a second chance opportunity from Garay, punched out by Ziaha, and then the strike by Garay, another terrific save, and you can see the possession. No surprise that Loudoun United, 62% of the possession. Monterey Bay really just absorbed that pressure and made them play into tighter areas and pockets of space.
Yeah, there were some great passes as well, as Dawkins got in on that ball wide. And, you know, some coaches, they don't necessarily value possession as much. So you have a feeling that maybe Frank Yallop is optimistic moving into this second half. We do have a substitution here as Gosu Samake comes in for Zoumana Diarra. One Ivory Coast native replaces the other, as that substitution is brought to you by Segra. That is the one that we know of here of note, as we'll let you know as more subs will trickle in this second half. Fans still coming back from the concessions here at Segra Field on an 80-degree Saturday night. Monterey Bay in the blue, Loudoun United in the white.
All substitutions are brought to you by Segra.
Gosu, who has been bounced up and down between the first team and Loudoun United. In their second year, this contract with Samake is Donor. Tries a back post pass, it gets botched for a second. Johnson unable to clean it up there as Loudoun breathes a sigh of relief here in the first minute of the second half. Lengthy run, cleaned out by Green.
And we talked about the start that Ryan Martin wanted from his team, but he also emphasized this team seeking consistency and really putting a full, complete 90 together. And obviously, the start of a second half is vital. Really good moments in that first half for Loudoun, but you could see Monterey Bay off to a really fast start here, but Loudoun earning a set piece.
Oh, they're gonna give this foul, as you mentioned, as Simonson takes the fall, and we are gonna have a very interesting opportunity from just outside the box as Sargis passed it in. Looked like maybe both players were pretty physical there, but the foul going against Revelar. Will we see Samake take a chance in his first minute in? Certainly a talented midfielder. Or will it be a cross from this position? It feels maybe too tight to take the shot. What do you think?
Simonson wanted it right as soon as the foul occurred, so he obviously feels really good about what he can do on this service.
Three-man wall just outside the inner box. I don't know, there's a lot of bodies in there if you want to take a shot.
I like the confidence from Simonson as he was sitting on the ground.
Don Stieg, the big body, and the shot just tails high. Look like they're gonna call it a corner kick though, although the pleads from Ziaha will go unanswered. Let's get a look and see who was right on this complaint.
And now you could see why Simonson wanted that as soon as he collected the foul, because he absolutely shaped this ball. And if Ziaha does not get a hand on it,
certainly the best chance we have seen in a long time from Loudoun. They had a couple good chances late in the 20th minute. So Downs will feed in the high lobbing ball caught by Siaha. Sane may have been trampled there by the 6'6" goalkeeper. Well, more of the same for Monterey Bay defensively. They have not allowed a goal now in 4.5 weeks. They have not lost a match since June 25th, and a lot of it has been because of the defense. They have scored just 5 goals in their last 4 matches, but it is good enough for a 2-0-2 mark. Valeski's gonna give this one a look. Nifty footwork by Zamudio, though. One thing that Ryan Martin, the head coach for Loudoun United, talked to us about yesterday is that this turf plays extra slow. He said even his players don't like it time to time. Have you noticed that here and there, maybe the midfield takeovers, turnaways in the beginning?
It has. It's really slowed down some of those moments that you think the counter is on or the transition is on. And I think that's sometimes on teams where they can kind of mix in going a bit more direct and playing over the top and off of the surface. But as you mentioned, he talked about how slow the turf plays, and you know, you want to make sure that there's moments, and that's why the pressing is so crucial to Loudoun, because sometimes that slow turf can, you know, really cause some havoc for teams as they build up out of that defensive third. You don't suspect that turf is going to play this slow, so you might put a little less pace on something and you can jump right on that pass if it's got a bit of distance to cover there. But I am interested to see if both these teams add a little bit more direct play.
Robinson is going to get whistled here for cheating up a little bit. And if you've been to the 2 sides of the country, you can't name 2 different climates than Monterey, California, and the Appalachians in Virginia. A little bit of that extra thick humidity in the air here on this hot summer night. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably about 20 degrees colder out in Monterey Bay. Wasn't too bad of a travel day, about an 1.5-hour drive to San Francisco to fly straight to Dulles for the visiting Crispin Kelp.
And I think where you see
Valeski, oh, and Open Johnson, his 3rd chance. Is it the golden one? No! It wasn't even deflected. He misses wide to the right. And as a lefty, we have seen Johnson take a few chances open with the right.
and it looked like a terrific defensive play from Vom Steeg. The ability to close down and really force Johnson into a tighter window, a tougher shot, just unable to get around it. And he just gets that all wrong there on his right foot.
And we haven't talked too much about Vom Steeg, the rookie out of Santa Barbara. Standout for the UC Santa Barbara soccer team, where he played under his dad with a pair of brothers. And a mainstay here in this lineup. What a moment to get to suit up against Bayern Munich 10 days ago for DC United. Von Steeg is someone, along with Zane, that Wayne Rooney is very keen on up in that first league and first team.
And his brother Justin, a part of the Timbers organization with Timbers 2. Talked about his dad, Tim Von Steeg, winning a national championship at UC Santa Barbara in 2006.
That's a soccer culture out there on the Central Coast. Not too far away from Monterey Bay, in fact, just about 3.5 hours south. As Maury Donor may need to get a little bit more involved offensively. He was quiet in that first half. We saw Valeski create the opportunity himself there a moment ago. Just 7 touches in the first half for the number 10 in blue. Fair works it back to Dawkins. That was always going to be a tough chance for Robinson.
And going back to your point about the travel for Monterey Bay, where you really see the effects of a team traveling, especially this distance, is the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of kickoff, those first initial moments, and then really later on in this game. So this middle portion, this first 15 minutes of the second half, really critical for Monterey Bay to get off to a good start, create a good rhythm, because you tend to see a bit of a drop off in terms of energy towards the end of a match. And obviously having a good week between matches is important for Monterey Bay, but you do want to make sure you're able to pin Loudoun into their own half and really influence some of those later moments.
It's a beautiful ball into Donor, defended by Sargis. This is Moby Fair. Gorski. Donor's cross. Hand fighting in the box, no call, and it's picked up easily by Zamudio. Not much you can do there if you're Valeski. Very rarely will that be called the penalty shot he wanted.
But early on, we've already seen more involvement with Valeski than we did throughout the entirety of the first half. And we've seen more involvement from Donor in the attacking phase as well. Obviously, he had sequences where he joined the attack in the first half, but already here in the first 10 minutes, we've seen a number of dangerous services in from that right side.
Aside from that set piece taken by Simonson, Loudoun has been on the defensive side of things here through 10 minutes of the second half. A home team that has won 3 out of the 11 matches at home this season. Just won 6-1 on the road for Loudoun. In their final season expected here in the USL Championship, making the move to MLS Next Pro next year. One team on their way in, the other most likely on their way out. Valeski is going to get whistled for a little too much physicality, trying to swerve his way around Vom Steeg.
Alcohol sales is at the 75th minute. Last call at the 75th minute.
Talk about a journeyman, Christian Valeski on his 6th USL Championship team. Has played with Colorado Springs, Pittsburgh, Orlando City, St. Louis, Rochester.
And what you have to like about the early involvement of Valeski here in the second half is, does this make space available for Revelar to join attacks and really be involved in that second ball if it gets served in and that ball falls into midfield.
Simonson had the looks of a tenacious run there, but it's been picked off by Robinson. Grant Robinson making his 13th start of the season. Spent last season with RGVFC. Over the last 10 minutes or so, it really feels like Monterey Bay has played keep away successfully, not without the attempts by Liotti to try to take it away. Both teams have until next Saturday off, where Loudoun hosts LA Galaxy 2, and Monterey Bay goes back home to take on El Paso. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be very intrigued with these next 2 Monterey Bay matches, both against top 7 teams in El Paso and then at San Diego.
Well, and they host Sacramento Republic right after that game at San Diego, and then they go at New Mexico. So as you mentioned, actually 4 straight against top 5 teams in the Western Conference. then hosting LA Galaxy 2, a team that's sitting currently 8th. So another team that they're going to have to jump ahead of as they look to collect points.
I got to focus on this one first. As Sargis able to create a corner kick, but there's no doubt about it, the rest of the season is right in front of Monterey Bay FC, 10 points behind Vegas and LA Galaxy in that 7-8 spot. A West Coast that is just a bit more powerful than the East here in the USL Championship this season, as Loudoun sits third to last but has 5 fewer points than Monterey Bay. We'll see if Gosu Samake can make his impact. A lot of white jerseys floating deep in that box. Samake, the lefty, finds the head of Hugh Roberts. Through 60 minutes, there's a poor pass leading to a potential counterattack brewed by Dawkins. He's running out of room and hits the eject button poorly. You get that feeling that Liotti may be running out of steam up at front for Loudoun.
They're just not as collective and compact pressing as they were in the first half, and that's causing Liotti to cover a lot of ground by himself.
Well, another thing, Zane, who was all over the place, number 7 at the top of your screen, is now settled to a little bit more of a defensive midfield, maybe more by fitness than anything. I'm sure that Ryan Martin doesn't want him back there, but you could tell that Gosu's the one with the fresh legs. We'll see if another substitution window is open soon. Borski there for the takeaway. Out of open room. Rebelar. We know Johnson wants to use his left. Oh, tries to sneak it. It's careened off the post. That one would have been a quiet goal from Johnson after his loud opportunities.
And you called it. He was working so hard to get that separation and get that ball on his left foot. As we see Zamudio down, but here, really inventive work, 1v1 there by Jason Johnson, and you called it during the play. He was working so hard to get it off his left foot.
Pure frustration from the face of the 31-year-old who has spent a lot of time with Frank Yallop in his long career. As Zamudio needs to be stretched out. We'll walk you through the Jamaican's lifespan with Frank Yallop. Spent 3 years at Phoenix Rising with Coach Yallop. Some short stints as well with Louisville and Austin. A couple years in Houston too. Something about warm weather has always attracted James Johnson, it feels like.
Well, 3 stops he's been with Frank Yallop. Obviously here in Monterey Bay, talked about Phoenix Rising, and then in MLS when Frank Yallop was at Chicago Fire in 2015. So obviously that rapport and that relationship is there between Jason Johnson and Frank Yallop. As we can see, Zamudio is still getting stretched there.
Well, you know who the backup is. Our fantastic player spotlight done at halftime. So we know that the 21-year-old, there he is, Dane Jacoman, he is ready. From University of Pennsylvania. And let's see, were they waving for him or waving that they don't need him? If not for Zamudio, this could be another one of those lopsided matches in favor of the opponent. Zamudio was with the first team on Wednesday. Joseph Rice had a tough match, allowing 6 goals on 8 shots from Birmingham Legion. Talk about a storyline. We got the news before the game we were going to highlight Jacoman at halftime. And it looks like, if anything, Matt Thompson, Zamudio and Thompson are disagreeing. You've been a part of this as a coach for what, 12 years now?
It's one of those where as a coach you want to make sure that Zamudio is good to go. You really want to see some of those initial movements after the restart, and obviously the ability for Jacoman to get properly warmed up, because the last thing you want to see from any team is the quick substitution where you go from sitting on the bench to not being able to get warmed up.
So a couple subs for Monterey Bay as Sam Gleedle, the goal scorer from Saturday, will come in for Simon Dawkins. And we are going to see the 26-year-old Arun Basulovic. There he is, number 17. Oh, coming in for Jason Johnson. So just like that, a substitution of both wings for Monterey Bay, and we'll see what the fresh legs can do on both sides of Christian Valeski. But from my perspective, Dawkins and Johnson were both extremely incredible additions to that front line. Johnson usually comes off the bench, but in for Murphy. However, finding the back of the net is so much of this game, isn't it? And that's something that Johnson just couldn't do.
Yeah, and it goes to that saying that goals change games, and for both of these teams, they're looking for that goal that'll really shift the pace and the momentum of this matchup. And obviously the insertion of Basulovic and Gleedle, you get 2 experienced players. And this had to be a discussion at halftime, because typically when you look at substitutions within that first 15-20 minute phase, you're really discussing that with those players and allowing them the knowledge of knowing that they have that 15-20 minutes to influence the match and find a goal.
Zane again dispossessed, and you get that feeling that he may be the next one to be subbed out on the side for Loudoun, as Robinson takes it away, and then Gleedle fresh in, gets taken down by Downs. 67th minute. Monterey Bay has been the aggressor here in the second half. But it has been one of those career nights for Luis Zamudio, who has 5 saves. He did make 5 saves a week ago tonight in a heartbreaker against Miami, with the 92nd minute goal deciding it. Paco Craig, the 2-1 win for the visitors Miami FC. Is Zamudio has to be happy that his first touch back after the injury is a bit of a calm one from Basulovic.
Routine save there, took a little bit of deflection.
9th appearance of the season for Basulovic, who spent the last 2 seasons with the OKC Energy. Started with New York Red Bulls 2 4 years ago. Tight footwork. Valeski to reset it. Basulovic tried to squeeze that one into a tight space. Every header from Roberts seems to be more physical than the last. As he wins the 50-50 ball. Gorski battling. Loses the battle, pardon me. Gleedle out there. Gleedle with the MLS last season at Minnesota United, but loaned out to San Antonio, where he played 22 games. Liati down again. You know, one interesting thing to look at here for Monterey Bay, you mentioned that Johnson was constantly looking for his left. So often we'll see the left footers on the right wing. Sam Gleedle, though, a left footer, they put him out to the left wing. Is that something that you might see sometimes? You switch that up, or do you usually want the right footer on the left wing and vice versa?
Yeah, I think it's a balance between what the team needs in terms of services, the runs, the timing, and then also the preference of the player, because sometimes you have players like Jason Johnson that like to cut in and use their left, and then you have players like Sam Gleedle that really build off of the services and the ability to be influential in those moments. So you get that dangerous whipped-in ball from Sam Gleedle, and he had an assist in that 2-0 win against Red Bulls 2, or a goal, sorry, with the assist coming from Jason Johnson. So really different looks there.
So Liati will be taken out here in the 70th, and you mentioned a goal in the last match for Gleedle. We will see the 16-year-old Christian Fletcher, who had his first professional goal in the 55th minute on Wednesday in Alabama. Fletcher, who will celebrate his 17th birthday a week from today. Such an incredible program that the DC United Academy really puts together, doing a lot of this USL Championship stuff. You don't see a lot of teams that truly grow from the bottom like this, as you see Fletcher. A couple other teenagers are also available in Alem and Espinel. Akim Boni, too, you may see later tonight. So what will the 16-year-old do on the front line? Is that substitution brought to you by Segra, and right away Fletcher, a chance to show off the speed, and a chance for a professional tackle in his face.
And I think one of the most difficult things to do, and we saw it with the Jason Johnson left-footed strike a bit ago, and Ryan Martin talked about the aspects that Christian Fletcher brings, and we talked about his first professional goal at Birmingham. It's that ability to create your own shot, and that's something as attackers, that ability to separate, that ability to be decisive and execute at a really high level in that moment in front of goal. And that's something that Christian Fletcher brings to this team in this match in the attacking phase.
Playing from behind, Nicky Downs, who has 2 assists, our player to watch earlier, but giving him the room. Fletcher, a little bit of a fumble there on the pass from Downs, but Loudoun will reset. Something about that Fletcher entry has certainly sparked his home side. We have seen these counterattacks fizzle out for Monterey Bay. But a good ball feedback to Basulovic. Arun Basulovic curves it well wide. Basulovic making his 9th appearance for the Union. As we get one more look, this may be why you want that lefty on the right wing.
And as you mentioned, this is a bit more of what we've seen from Monterey Bay here in the second half, but this opportunity from Basulovic has really kind of defined what that final product has produced in those moments. It's just, we saw the Jason Johnson right-footed shot spray wide of Zamudio.
Oh, that's a poor look on an open Rebelar calling for the ball from Gleedle. He'll live to regret it. How about this for a flip in the game? Monterey Bay has taken the last 7 shots, as Loudoun's last shot was the Simonson free kick in the 48th minute.
And that's a great point. And what I would point out, and second with that, is we have not seen Loudoun win the ball higher up the field the second half. We just have not seen them collectively press like we did in the first half. We haven't seen them force turnovers that caused some of that counterattacking that we saw. And Monterey Bay is just doing a better job of executing, finding space, finding comfortable space to operate in as well.
Here's Fletcher. looking to flip the field. It does get it over the flicking head. But a roller shot easily handled by Siaha, who has now gone nearly 350 minutes without a goal allowed in his USL Championship career. Did not have any appearances with the San Diego Loyal last season. Was on a few of their 18s, but never got in any action as Donor gets trampled, no call. Maybe a bit of an advantage played. They will play it. Valeski. Oh, it goes well wide on the shot from the right.
And that was that moment for Rebelard to join the attack and get an opportunity in the 18-yard box. And again, Monterey Bay just missing that final detail, doing an exceptional job of creating some of these opportunities, but just unable to convert.
That is the 14th shot from the visitors tonight. Just 6 of them on target. 11 have been inside the box. They have gotten close and personal with Zamudio.
And coming from a first half that was really back and forth and wide open in terms of both teams creating dangerous opportunities, if this scoreline stays, you're going to look at Monterey Bay looking back at some of these chances and really scratching their head at some of these opportunities that they did not convert and did not find in the back of the net. Obviously, Zamudio making some fantastic saves in that first half and really controlling his box and manipulating play a bit here in the second.
Yeah, the saves were in the first half. We'll see if Zamudio has a few more up his sleeve, because something tells me that we aren't going to have 15 minutes of calmness. As you saw a moment ago, Ryan Martin talking to Isaac Espinal, one of the go-tos off the bench here over the summer. Donor has shown a bit of frustration here in the second half as his throw-in finds Gorski. The veteran has a chance. Cross buoyed away. Rebelard back post over the leaping header attempt. Sam Gleadle couldn't quite get up there, the 5'10" forward.
And I think with both these teams sitting outside of that top 7 and really needing 3 points, as 1 point really doesn't move the needle in regards to making a playoff push, you're going to really see both these sides show what their intent is here in the final 10-15 minutes. Are they going to push for a goal and collecting all 3 points? Or are they going to try to take the air out of the ball a little bit and just control the tempo and pick and choose moments that they go forward?
Well, Loudoun has allowed a 90th minute goal to decide a game 3 times this season. The loss to Miami and then a couple draws against Tulsa and Charleston where the win was just grasped away. And Coach Yallop knows it. I talked to him about it yesterday and he kind of coyly laughed and avoided the question. But when you're a coach and you're playing against a team that is known to falter late, you push your players in the 85th pluses. We're here in the 78th. Some dancing by Moby Fair keeps possession in the attacking third. Maybe an ill-advised header there by Sargis keeps the play alive. Near post. Wow. Definitely a chance at a handball there as neither player was expecting the missed header. 3 straight chances in the box and a sturdy defensive stand by Loudoun.
And again, you bring up a terrific point in terms of this Monterey Bay team is going to look at Loudoun, and obviously we talk about how important 3 points is, but you're going to look at a team that's conceded 44 times, 14 goals just in this month alone. So you're going to continue to push for that lone goal because that's all you need at this point is to find that one and change the game. And We saw the patience from Birmingham Legion. Obviously, they went ahead and found a goal in the 22nd minute, but that first 15, 20 minutes, they just continued to create chances, and we've seen it here in the second half for Monterey Bay.
And before another throw-in, we'll see a change for the visitors as Valeski's day is seemingly done, despite him not wanting to leave yet. Sekou Kone, 6'4" forward from Liberia, is finally going to remove Valeski from this one. One of my favorite parts of doing USL Championship is seeing the passion from some of these players that don't want to leave the match. Johnson showed it after his near miss, was removed a moment later, and now Yallop having to maybe justify it a bit there with Valeski. But Kone has certainly been a spark plug late. 2 goals and an assist this season for Monterey Bay, making his 13th appearance. Had a tremendous goal against Los Angeles earlier in the season on a diving header. Now the look for Kone. He will instead collide a bit with Zamudio. 2 very similar goalie frames I was noticing just now. I was gonna ask you about that. When we see both of these goalkeepers, 6'3" for Zamudio, 6'6" for Siaha, they definitely have that Courtois style.
And I was just about to say the same thing, because we've seen both goalkeepers be really good on services, really sure-handed, not giving up second chance opportunities. And really for both sides, you're gonna wanna get these goalkeepers moving side to side, maybe a bit more deceptive, a bit more unpredictable on the services. And obviously the frustration for Valeski on Monterey Bay's side is he was just starting to get involved here in the second half, and we saw it early on. But we talk about the intent of bringing on Kone and really going after those services as well.
So we will see another teenager come in for Loudoun as the 19-year-old Garay comes out. The 16-year-old Ignacio Alem making his 3rd appearance of this young season. Just 25 minutes played thus far for Alem, and we saw Garay all over that first half highlight sheet. Had a couple good chances, 1 shot on target on the kicking save by Gorski, and so the DC United Academy player in Alem make his 2nd consecutive appearance off the bench. Right off the bat, hoping his fresh legs lend some cadence here in the final 10 or so. Flirting with a handball is Gosu. Sané dispossessed. Feels like something's bubbling. You just don't know which side it's gonna pop off for. Loudoun has not been in a match without a goal in 2 months.
And unfortunately, a lot of those games, those goals being conceded. Again, a team that is building in confidence for Loudoun United.
Tell you what, you can go even further back. The last time Loudoun United played in a game where no goals were scored was March 26th in Miami in a 0-0 draw against MIAFC. But still 8 minutes to be played. Donor, strong header, but a little too far away there from Kone. Gosu Samake. That didn't feel good. Certainly an atmosphere where the players have to generate the emotion. Both coaches, in fact, touched on that on a crowd of less than 1,000 here tonight. You could hear both benches Of course, the Loudoun Stampede standing strong here at home. Could today be the day that Loudoun has some late magic? Left-footed strike and a diving save from Siaha. More sure-handed than anything there. Looked like it was probably on target, but a sturdy stop.
And we've seen some excellent attacking moments from each team. We've really seen these goalkeepers showcase what they do so well. We talk about them being sure-handed and not giving up those second chance opportunities, not spilling easy opportunities and routine saves, but also stepping up when their team needs that game-changing stop.
A lot of open grass as Rebelar finds Donor. White jerseys staying tight. You can hear "just move it" towards Gorski as Monterey Bay's communication has been intact. Oh, 2 balls on the pitch though. They play it no mind. Green will win the battle against Kone there. You don't often see play continue with that extra ball on there. Usually they'll pause for a moment.
Yeah, it didn't seem like much urgency to get the ball off either. But for Monterey Bay, they've done a better job of owning that wide areas and really delivering the service, but just the predictability of the runs and the levels of those areas that are occupied in that final third. And we talk about just not moving Zamudio enough. You see Simonson.
He has been a brute out there in the midfield today. Tumbled a few times. Did have maybe the tightest shot for either team on that free kick just outside the left side here early in this second half. That was misjudged by Robinson, and it leads to a Loudoun corner. I have noticed one thing for Monterey Bay: the body language amongst their teammates has not been the most positive. Something you might see in a first team first year.
And we go back to the travel aspect of it too. You go back to some of, whether it's fatigue, whether it's frustration. Obviously coming off a 2-0 win over Red Bulls 2, they really do feel like they should have been successful in some of these attacking sequences throughout the second half. And even with this corner kick, just misreading the ability of that turf to run the ball out.
Roberts feeds it to Sargis, who just tails it high. For those wondering, Tampa Bay continued their winning streak with a 3-1 win over Indy. Sacramento leads by 2 over Charleston with 8 minutes to go. Vegas and Atlanta tied in the 89th. As it seems like Sacramento will gain 3 points, Vegas will bump up 1. Will Monterey Bay have a chance here late to maybe gain some points on that 7-8 spot with Vegas and LA? Galaxy and San Antonio just kicked off in the 15th minute scoreless. 13 matches to go after this one. And a coach in Frank Yallop, who is certainly experienced in late season and postseason runs. Won a pair of MLS Cup titles with the Earthquakes of San Jose. MLS Coach of the Year 2 times as well. But a team that just has not been able to take advantage of turnovers. Another example there as Gleadle takes a hit. Robinson with a head of fury there, and a good job by Matt Thompson to dissolve any angst.
Yeah, you could see him putting down a line, making sure that Grant Robinson.
Have you seen that white paint used outside the playing field before?
I have not, but that is
it's a good tactic.
It is, and very effective, really diffused what could have happened. And again, for Monterey Bay, just need to stay composed.
Yeah, this is all spawning from what looked to be an elbow. That's exactly what Roberts is showing after the ball went out of bounds, and I think pleads of accidents from Green. An elbow that caught Gleedle. Now the two that were involved chatting.
Again, we talked about how well the referee diffused the initial situation, but this is another scenario that is terrific in terms of getting both captains together, talking about what was seen and really discussing it and collaborating, and then obviously Sam Gleedle getting involved there. But again, diffusing what could have existed there here towards the end of this match.
I think there was a yellow shown there to Green. Yes, that's the third yellow card issued to Loudoun. There's a bump, and there's the elbow. And what are we headed towards? About 10 minutes of stoppage time, it seems like, here in the second half. Plenty of time now. Physicality shown on the other side, and maybe I exaggerated a bit. We are getting word it's 5 minutes of stoppage time.
Plenty of time for either of these teams to find a goal.
5 minutes of added time to the end of the second half. 5 minutes.
And we have seen Loudoun a lot more positive play here in the last 10 minutes or so.
See if that one garners a card. Doesn't look like it will, despite fans' pleads. Still scoreless. A little bit more of a quiet second half than we had in the first. Goalkeepers shined in that first half, where 12 combined shots were taken. 7 saves for Zamudio, 6 saves for Siaha. It has certainly been Monterey Bay that have missed more opportunities on one-on-one chances. Kone. Donor again in that familiar right corner. Loudoun looking to snap a 3-match losing skid, while a draw would stretch Monterey Bay's unbeaten streak to 5. However, they definitely came in tonight against a reeling team in Loudoun looking for 3. By Green to Donor. Room for Ebelar. It's found, deflected and wide. The shot by Gleedle turns into a corner kick here in the 93rd.
And this is where, for Monterey Bay, you want to be very detailed in what you do on this corner.
Cross, deflected, bobbled, and in! And in! The substitute, Sekou Kone in the 93rd, unties us here in Virginia.
And what an impact Kone has had on this game since coming on for Valeski. And you knew when Monterey Bay earned themselves this corner kick, for a team that really prides themselves on restarts, set pieces.
Unbelievable. The ball that refused to hit the turf. Basulovic looked like he may have had that final touch, and then Kone able to strike it in with maybe his shoulder. We're gonna need some more looks. They're gonna need a little bit more stoppage time here, won't they?
And unfortunately for Loudoun, really just a replay of that match against Miami FC where a set piece, Paco Craig.
Yep.
So heartbreak for Loudoun. And what a moment for Monterey Bay.
Oh, and look at Kone. He gets the yellow card for taking his kid off. His third goal of the season. For a February edition, early in this expansion team's infancy. And what could be one of the more important goals in the young history of Monterey Bay FC. But Loudoun's not done. You see Martin's energy, pushing everyone forward. Are we gonna see Zamudio in the box?
So important to make first contact here if you're Monterey Bay.
You see the orange jersey. 10 men in the box for Loudoun United FC as Gosu Samake sends it in. This will curl away from the goalkeeper, Siaha. And it will be Zamudio with the best chance. Looked like he missed it by inches. Unmarked in that bright orange jersey.
What a play that would have been.
Still though with possession. The fourth time this season that a match-altering goal is scored against Loudoun in the 90+. We mentioned Monterey Bay. They were 10 points out of the playoffs with 14 left. Can they hold on to these magical 3? Important header as Downs corrals it. It's all at the discretion of Matt Thompson now. And that is going to do it. A goal in the 93rd for Sekou Kone. And another clean sheet for Siaha and that blue and green defense.
What a performance by Monterey Bay, and really what a performance by both of these teams. A lot of intent, a lot of purpose, a lot of energy as we see the emotion from Kone there, scoring that game winner, how much it means to him and his side, picking up the 3 points here. And we continue to emphasize restarts throughout this matchup. We saw it as Monterey Bay really built momentum from set pieces and free kicks. And you knew as soon as they earned that corner kick, it was an opportunity for them to go quick and maybe catch Loudoun not set.
What a tremendous match we had. It was a fantastic debut in these first matchup, and we look at our save of the game brought to you by Segra. It was in the first half. Zamudio put on a show. Very easily could have been a lopsided result. Instead, Zamudio with 6 first half saves just couldn't come up with the juggling bobblehead finish in the 93rd as that man, Sekou Kone, sends us into a magical finish. We will have a post-game show for you, though, with some stats and more next as Monterey Bay wins it 1-0 in Virginia. On a humid Saturday night, Monterey Bay, the furthest that they have traveled in their short history, over 2,800 miles, and a final score won by that man, Sekou Kone. Our final score brought to you by Segra, as Monterey Bay pushes themselves to their 7th win, 23 points. Let's take a look at these highlights, Eric, that led them there. And it was frustrating early for Monterey Bay, especially in the midfield.
And it was for Loudoun, creating a number of early opportunities and turning Monterey Bay over higher up the field, creating chances. But Monterey Bay does it with set pieces, obviously in possession as well, but they really built momentum on these set pieces and free kicks. As you saw there, the chance by Jason Johnson, and then here, off a turnover, Jason Johnson again, and we talked about Zamudio really making some key saves there in the first half. Set piece, second chance opportunity from Jeremy Garay here. The save by Ziaha, and really back and forth there in the first half. Second half was a lot more momentum towards Monterey Bay. The left-footed strike here by Jason Johnson, hitting that post, almost beating Zamudio near post. And then the 84th minute, the chance for Loudoun United. The left-footed strike, again, bit of a routine save there by Ziaha, but late here in stoppage time, the short corner taken. Second, third, fourth chance opportunities here as this ball is bobbled in the 18-yard box, and it's the substitute Kone that puts it in the back of the net.
Still don't know how it went in. What an incredible finish. Look at the high-octane nature of this match. Possession ended up swinging almost all the way back to Monterey Bay. Few amount of offsides as well. We had a great save early by Zamudio on a shot that didn't count. The 7 saves, not enough though for Luis Zamudio, as Anthony Ziaha shines for the Union. And there are stats of the game. Wow, Monterey Bay inches themselves closer. They move to 7-11-2. Loudoun United fall to 4-14-3, as we thank you again for joining us today. For our entire crew, Gage Tillotson, Jim Clark, Andy Martinez, Ivan Velasquez, and Eric Dobransky, I'm Daniel Gilman. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday night in the USL Championship.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.